is, in case you have questions for him at the end of his presentation. Kathy, are you collecting? Oh, someone's writing a question. Okay. Well, while that's going on, let me introduce Dr. Richard Clapp. Dr. Clapp is Professor Emeritus of Environmental Health at Boston University's School of Public Health, as well as Adjunct Professor at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. He's an epidemiologist with 40 years experience in public health practice, research, teaching, and consulting. Dr. Clapp was founding director of the Mass Cancer Registry and served in that capacity from 1980 to 1989. His research has included cancer in areas around nuclear facilities, in workers, and in the military. Dr. Clapp.
Thank you. Not the right height for these. I'm stunned. I'm actually astonished at what I've just heard. I've learned a lot. I mean, I've heard Dave speak before. I've never heard Arnie speak, and I must say it's quite an enlightening experience to sit and listen to what they have to say. And I'm glad they have a sense of humor, because if they didn't, I think we'd all be running screaming out of this room right now because of the design problem or you know, the accident scenarios that they've just taken us through. So my job today, or tonight, was actually to say, oh, by the way, radiation is not good for you. So that's my role, I guess, in my life's work, actually, has been to document that. And I'll tell you a little about my background. In addition to being the director of the Cancer Registry, just prior to that, actually, I had been part of a three-agency-funded federal study to look at what populations in this country could you do an epidemiologic investigation of to see what's the shape of the dose-response curve at low dose. This was in the late 1990s, or sorry, late 1970s. This was sort of a live issue. Is it a sort of linear dose response such that with any increased radiation dose you get an increased risk, especially of cancer? Or is there a threshold? Or maybe is there even some kind of excess risk at low dose? Is it supralinear? That was the reason that we had this research. It was called an epidemiologic feasibility study. So I actually visited some of the places that Dave and Arnie talked about. I was in Pilgrim, inside Yankee Row. I went inside Yankee Row, went to Indian Point, which is also on a fault line just outside of New York City. And so I was sort of introduced to this notion of there are workers, especially this was about people who work at these places and at nuclear weapons facilities, which I also visited with my colleagues, who wear radiation badges. And the reason is you don't want to overdose people because who work around radioactive materials. We're talking about ionizing radiation here, because there are, even then, in the late 70s, known consequences. So the research project was really about, can we learn even more by looking at these people?